Good afternoon, traders, and thanks for joining a special edition of Options Corner. I'm Tom White here on the Schwab Network. I spotted some unusual option activity today, despite the lower than expected volumes. Not surprising on New Year's Eve here as we wrap up 2024. Let's get it kicked off here with Wynn Casinos. Shares are up modestly today, but still down about 5% on the year. They had earnings in November that came in below expectations, and a lot of that pain was caused by Las Vegas. They saw a 1.9% decline in revenue in their Vegas properties, which kind of stunted the growth for Wynn. Now, stimulus over in China is really helping their Macau properties. Traffic's been picking up, and then they also had some additional visa passes from Chinese consumers that are allowing them to go to more of the casinos. So that might be a big, big prop for them moving into 2025. They're expected to open their UAE property at the end of 2025 into 2026. They've got a 40% ownership and partnership within there on Marjan Island. So things are looking up despite the weakness that we're seeing. I think it's all going to be reliant on if the consumer holds up. Let's get into the trade that I saw that kind of stuck out to me. And this was out in the February monthly cycle, so 52 days till expiration. They got a little bit of duration on this one. A trader bought over 13,000 of the February 105 strike calls, paid an average debit of only 87 cents. These are far out of the money to the upside. So the break even for this trader where they start to profit, 105.87 over the next nearly 2 months. That's about 23% above the current share price in there in Wynn Resorts. Call volume with this big trade in there. We typically don't see big, massive orders in a name like Wynn Resorts. It's about 9 times normal trading volume that we've seen over the last 5 trading sessions. So a big call buyer out here in February for Wynn Resorts with expectations that we're going to see a pop. They report earnings on the 5th of February. So this trade, this position this trader's putting on is going to capture that earnings event. Maybe that will be the catalyst to drive it up. But you got a ways to go to get above that break even for this trader. All right, let's move to the second name that we got on our radar today as far as unusual option activity, and that's First Solar. Shares are up only about 2% so far this year, so it's been lagging the overall market, but they're down 11% in December alone, and they're off 42% from those 52-week highs that we saw in June. Well, what's the cause of this? Well, a new administration coming in, probably not going to be too conducive to green energy and a lot of the rules and regulations that were put in place by the previous administration. So you've seen some weakness in the solar stocks. But the U.S. Department of Commerce did announce earlier this month anti-dumping duty investigations into some of the solar panels coming out of China. They're going to slap up to over 125% tariffs on some of those Southeast Asia and China companies that are trying to dump their solar cells here in the U.S. That might be a bonus for First Solar. But we did see some unusual option activity to the downside in First Solar today. Somebody buying some puts out in the January 17th monthly cycle. Trader bought 3,000 of the 170 strike puts, slightly out of the money to the downside. They paid an average debit of $355 for these puts. So the break even for this trader where they start to profit is below 166.45 over the next 17 days. That's about 6% below the current share price in First Solar. Put volume, about 4 times normal daily average volume that we've seen over the last week of trading, with a put-call ratio, which is normally for a normal stock put-call ratio, 0.7%, right? This one's 7.5 on the put-call ratio. So puts far out trading calls today. Some people taking some bearish bets here on First Solar into a January expiration. And our final trade. Yesterday, we talked about Nvidia on unusual option activity. Today, we're going to talk about it again today. But yesterday, they were buying the January 140 strike calls in there. They bought thousands of those, over 50,000. I believe was the number. But today, stock's down about 2%, still up over 170% so far this year. but I think somebody thinks that, that some gains are going to be capped. This was out in the January 10th weekly cycle, so just about 10 days till expiration on this one. Traders sold over 50,000 of a call vertical. They sold the 50,141 strike calls, and then they bought 50,000 the 149 strike calls. So a short $8 wide call vertical to the upside. They collected a credit on average of about $1.48 for this $8 wide call vertical. That takes a break even where they start to lose money up to 142.48 over the next week and a half. That's about 6% above the current share price. So somebody thinks that the stock's going to remain consolidating or even lower. This has been the underperformer in the Mag 7 so far in the month of December, but somebody taking a shot here, but they did stay risk defined. So even if the stock does go above 149, they know exactly what their potential loss is. You see that right there. They collected $1.48 on over 50,000 of those call verticals in Nvidia. So that's our take on unusual option activity for today, Tuesday, January 31st. Happy New Year to everybody. Thanks for joining us here on the Schwab Network. We'll see you next time.